This video is sponsored by Narwal. Before I get into everything that the Narwal T10 can do, we've been doing this for a few months and I want to keep it going. We've got a giveaway that we're working together with Narwal, and just because I think you guys are generally awesome. But we are not giving away a $500 American Express gift card today, friends. We're actually giving away a brand new 128 gig iPhone 13 in the color of your choice. Open to anyone in the world, fully unlocked. Run it for 2 weeks. So we'll leave all the information down below how to enter, but essentially just give the video a thumbs up. Leave a comment about what you would do with your Narwal T10, but be sure to leave your social handle. If you do not leave your social handle, I cannot contact you if you win. Your entry won't count. Again, leave your social handle. But again, all the information too will be in the description. So CES 2022 just ended, and I got a chance to go. And like CES, there are main halls, and then you can go towards the back of those halls, through the curtains. And if you know where to look, you can find adult tech. Now, as I get older, I find myself more interested in adult tech. And that, to me means something. It may mean something different to you. So let's just say together on 3, what our minds go to when you hear adult tech. Vacuums that mop and clean and also clean themselves. It's probably not what you were thinking, but that's where my mind is going, as I just don't want to get up to do stuff. So let me tell you all about the Narwal T10. So if you haven't heard of Narwal, and actually I hadn't heard of Narwal before we started testing it, like a lot of tech products nowadays, it actually got its beginning on Kickstarter. It actually raised over $1 million, which made it the #1 robot cleaner on Kickstarter. And there's a lot of robot vacuums in here that you've seen over the years. This one is different. So on the outside, it's a 2-in-1 robot vacuum and mop that will clean itself with its automatic mop cleaning station. And it does a lot of unique things that I haven't seen any other hybrid robot vacuum do. And as somebody with 3 kids and a dog, my floors and carpets are very rarely clean. And also because of innate laziness, I don't clean them as often as I should. So I've sort of had a keen interest in this space for a while, and I've tested a lot of options. Okay, so the T10 is a little different from the traditional robot vacuum and mopping setup that you've probably seen and heard about. Those were vacuum first, mop second, and generally not very good on that mopping part. The Narwal's actually flips it around. Is a mop first, vacuum second. Much more ideal for those whose floors are primarily hardwood, like mine are in my house, or tile, as opposed to mostly carpet. So looking at this thing, the first thing you're gonna notice is the dock. That's a big, big dock. It's reasonable to call it that. It's got big dock energy, but for good reason. So it's got 2 5-liter, that's 1.3 gallon tanks on the inside, which is enough for the T10 to clean like-ish 3,000 square feet. One tank is for the water and cleaning solution, the other is for all the gross water it mops off your nasty floors, dirty humans. So when the mop goes inside of the dock, it's gonna wash and clean all the mop brushes on the underside. It'll even dry them actually pretty well too after every cleaning periodically throughout the session. So one less thing that you have to do. So traditionally on other hybrid smart vacs, you'll need to refill the smaller tanks on the vacuum itself. Something that I had to do in my house a lot, and why we generally stopped using the mopping part of all of these robots. You have to change the water and wash the brush heads manually after every cleaning. Narwal T10's larger design, it's even less work for you. So if you've got space for the dock, it's really gonna take almost all the work out of cleaning your floor. So there's also a touch display on the dock itself to control the mop and vacuum. You also can control it via a dedicated app as well, but since the dock is larger, it's generally easier for me to reach down, hit the command button to start, and then just like walk away and I'll do all of its moppy, cleany things. So I know I kind of jokingly said that the dock is pretty big. With that clean white, almost marshmallow looking design, it's also not gonna be like a giant eyesore in anybody's house. It'll blend into the background. All right, so I mentioned it was moppy first, vacuum second. So let's go over the mopping first. So the T10 has 2 pretty large mopping brushes on the bottom. So it's much larger than other vacuums, which typically just have a pad on the underside that's gonna like make a snail trail along your floor and do some little vibrations as it goes. Some of those work better than others, but mostly, like I said, they're just gonna smear dirty water across your floor. So Narwal is actually going to scrub your floor for you. The mop head is actually gonna spin at 6 rotations per second with 4.5 pounds of downward pressure, giving your floors a much deeper clean than other robot mops. And as a personal story, we have a golden doodle at home. Her name is Millie. She's a little neurotic, but we love her. She doesn't shed too much, but we do have some dander and the hair does come off, and it tends to kind of get all over everything when we're walking. If you have a dog that sheds more, you might want to pay attention, because when Narwhal goes and when Narwhal comes back, not that I would do it, but I could, lick my finger, rub it on the floor, and pull my fingers up and not have gross dog hair on it. I know that's a nasty analogy, but it's something as anybody who has pets, you sort of know what I'm talking about. Like, hair just gets everywhere. This helps take care of that. Additionally, the brushes are angled in a triangle design, which get in those hard to reach corners, ensuring that everything can get clean. Sometimes mops that are rounds will do a good job of sort of pushing stuff in one direction, and you end up with sort of your corners looking really gross because it can't get in those areas. So I briefly mentioned before, the dock will clean and dry the brushes after every session. This also happens periodically throughout the cleaning session too. That helps clean the mop pads and sort of keep them generally cleaner throughout the mopping, so it's not just redepositing gross stuff all over your house. So, and something else that's kind of unique about the Narwhal, which is something I can't say about most robot vacuums or mops that I've tested, but it is like oddly quiet. Like, not sure if it's on level quiet. Obviously when it's vacuuming, it's gonna be on a bit louder, but mopping, it's pretty close to silent. But regardless of whether it's sucking things up or slopping some water on the floor, if it's not cleaning right next to me, I really can't hear it anywhere else in the house. So I feel like this is like the go-to now for every robot vacuum, but it's got LiDAR built in, and guess what it does? It uses it to map your house. And know sort of what you've got. And it does it really accurately and really quickly, so you can kind of get to cleaning faster. And if you've owned any robot vacuums or mops before, you probably know one of the most annoying parts of them is setting them up. Traditionally, other vacs have to go through an entire cleaning cycle to accurately map your house, depending on the size of your place. Take generally a few hours to do that. With Narwhal, it mapped my entire house, no joke, in about 10 minutes. It doesn't go through a cleaning cycle or anything, it just does a little like a manic little circle in the middle of the room, lets LiDAR do its thing, making mapping very quick and very easily, as it should be. And as it does all of its mapping, you'll be able to tell if you've got rugs or where carpet starts, so it's not gonna drag dirty water across your rug or carpet. So I mentioned it also has vacuum features, and it sucks. I mean, in the good way. So to use it, you'll have to actually swap out the base plate underneath of the T10. It doesn't have a center brush, so it's not gonna get the deepest of cleans on carpet, in all fairness. But it does have 2 spinning brushes and 1,800 pascals of suction that pick up a surprising amount of dirt and crumbs. Every time I hear Pascal, I keep thinking of Spider-Man and Amy Pascal, but I gotta remind myself, it's how they measure suction, and this is a pretty decent amount. So all that dirt and crumbs get sucked into a small receptacle, which is in the center of the T10, and that can easily be cleaned and emptied. You do have to do that yourself. It's not going to clean itself in the dock. The dock is for the moppy, not for the vacuum. So in all candor, this might not be what you use as your primary vacuum. As I said, this is a mop first, and that's what it does really well. However, where the vacuum feature does come in handy is if you're like me, a few kids, dogs, you inevitably find ways to throw as many gross things on the floor as possible, and the Narwhal takes care of those larger, I don't know how to say it, clumps of dirt and crumbs, which makes me happy the feature is there if I want to use it. So the hardware is not the only thing that's pretty solid with this. The software is really good too for allowing some nice things that might make you choose this over the competitors. So in the app, you can control the mop and the vacuum, tell it to go to a specific spot, send it directly to a spill, tell it where to clean only the rooms you want, or to do a full clean or not a full clean. You can also set things like mopping moisture levels depending on how deep of a clean you want. So also within the app, you can set things like no-go zones, so it knows where to stay away from, get cleaning status and reports. You can create a child lock. You can set your home layout map. And that's also where you can check your battery status. Actually, it's got a pretty big battery in it, 5,200 milliamp hours, which Doesn't sound like a huge battery, that's like a big one for a cell phone, but these robot vacuums generally have like half of that inside of it. And when it does go to charge, it can actually use fast charging to charge it quicker. One thing to be aware of, sometimes the app took a while to respond to commands, and I had a pretty tough time initially connecting the T10 to my Wi-Fi, something others who've used this have also said. Just something to bear in mind if you do decide to pick one of these up. I do hope it's something Narwal can fix since it's just software, but again, something that you should know. But like I mentioned earlier in the video, I just started using the touchscreen on the dock more often, and that's pretty much how I operated the T10 99.9% of the time. I use the app just to test it for this video. It works best when you can just set it to clean the whole house. It does the job, and it does the job really well every time. All right, so that's the Narwal T10. And for me, this is what sort of drove me to be interested in it. If you gotta pick which household chore you want to do the least between vacuuming or mopping, I'm gonna pick mopping every time. It's wet, it's gross, I got empty buckets. So a robot that can do that for me the most was most appealing. My house is mostly wood, so being able to sort of clean that is important. And quite frankly, I don't do it all that often. My wife is relatively busy, I'm relatively busy, we just don't have time to do it as much as we'd like. Narwal T10 has helped a lot with that. And I think anybody can benefit from having cleaner floors, especially in the current climate. So if that sounds like you and something you're interested in, look no farther than the Narwal T10. If you want to learn more about the company or the T10, we'll put all the links down below.